Last week, I spent the day at London Tech Week 2026. Alongside speaking at the event myself, I got the chance to hear from politicians, scientists, technology leaders, and founders talk about where technology is heading next. And honestly, the most interesting thing I heard wasn't about a new AI model. It wasn't about humanoid robots, and it wasn't another prediction that AI is about to change everything. It was much simpler. I think the AI hype cycle is ending, and what's replacing it is far more interesting. For those that don't know me, I have spent over a decade in product management, and a huge part of my career has been working out how technology can create value in the real world. Also, before anyone mentions it in the comments, it is absolutely roasting here today. If I do look slightly sweaty in this video, it's because it is currently hotter in my home office than some of my takes on AI. Anyway, whenever a major technology event comes around, I love to attend if I can, but also to separate all of the noise from what is actually useful. So let me show you me at the event, taking it all in. I've got my shirt on, I'm looking smart, and here I am at London Tech Week. This is where lots of keynote speakers talk about the future of technology, including AI. And so I'm here to hear from people like MPs, from Prince William, and lots of AI leaders. So, what are some of the things I've learned? Well, after spending the day listening to speakers, exploring the exhibition floor, and talking to people across the industry, one theme kept coming up again and again. 12 months ago, most AI conversations felt very different. There was a huge amount of excitement and a lot of bold predictions. And if we're honest, sometimes a bit of pressure just to talk about how we're using AI because we felt like everyone else was doing it. But this year was different. There was still plenty of excitement around AI, robotics, and digital transformation, but the tone felt noticeably more grounded. Less AI can do everything, and more where does AI actually create value? I heard conversations about trust, governance, adoption, measurement, experimentation. In other words, the things that really matter when you're trying to turn a piece of technology into a meaningful outcome. And honestly, I think that's a really positive sign because maturity in technology doesn't mean that the excitement disappears. It just means that we start asking better questions. One quote in particular really stuck with me. Tara Lawrence from Rightmove said, "The temptation right now is to get LLMs to do everything. They don't need to do everything. You need to be really clear on where they add value." That really resonated with me because it's exactly what I'm seeing as well. The organizations making the most progress aren't trying to put AI into every single process. They're focusing on where the real problems are. They're speaking with real users and they're concentrating on real outcomes that they can deliver. In product management, we often talk about falling in love with the problem rather than the solution. And I think that's incredibly relevant right now. AI isn't the objective. AI isn't the strategy. It's a tool, a powerful one, absolutely, but it's still a tool. And like any tool, its value depends entirely on how and where it's used. So if organizations need to find out where AI actually creates value, well, how exactly are they meant to find that out? This brings me to my second big takeaway from the day: experimentation. David Kassem from Telenex talked about giving people Mac Minis and telling them to go wild. Not because every experiment would be successful, but because people needed space to genuinely understand the technology. And I love that idea because whenever I see organizations successfully adopt a new technology, it rarely starts with some perfectly written strategy document. It starts with curiosity. People start experimenting, then they try things, they discover what works. More importantly, they discover what doesn't work. And over time, that creates a much better, deeper understanding of where value actually exists. In my experience, the companies that are making the most progress with AI aren't necessarily the ones that are talking about AI all the time. They're the ones that are really learning quickly. They're creating environments where people can explore safely and then share with each other what they're learning. And that doesn't come from reading a PowerPoint document. That's not where understanding comes from. It comes from hands-on experimentation. And when people understand the limitations of a piece of technology, that's when they're normally best at spotting the real opportunities. As a bit of an aside, one area I found particularly fascinating was robotics. It's a space I didn't know as much about before attending the event. And like many people, most of the robotic content I'd seen previously was social media clips of robots dancing or performing impressive tricks. But the conversation I heard wasn't really about entertainment. They were about practical applications, safety, productivity, reliability, solving operational problems. If by 2028 we only have robots dancing, we've made a mistake. That was a brilliant quote I heard from Marco Bielonic from Amazon River. And honestly, I think that quote applies just as well to AI. Because if in a few years' time we have just created some impressive demos, but completely missed driving meaningful outcomes, then we've missed the whole point. My biggest takeaway from London Tech Week wasn't that AI is overhyped. In fact, I think the opposite is true. There are organizations already creating value with AI today, improving customer experiences, increasing productivity, delivering measurable business results. But it still feels like we're at the early stages of understanding how to apply it effectively at scale. Not because AI technology isn't capable, but we're still working out where it can work best. So when I look back at London Tech Week 2026, there is one main takeaway that I'm going to have. And it's not that AI can do everything. It's that we are beginning to understand what it actually is really useful at doing. And honestly, I think that is a much more interesting conversation. And hey, if you were at London Tech Week this year, I'd love to know what your biggest takeaways were too. Please let me know in the comments below. And if you're interested in product management, AI, or innovation, then make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more like it. Thank you for watching. I am now going to stop recording, try and find the nearest fan and lower my heat levels before recording the next video. Thank you and see you on the next one.